All right, all right, all right. How's it going, everyone? So good to see you all here. I see H and Stopzilla, Castleman in the live chat. Animated P. How are you guys doing? So good to see you. I have a few things planned for this stream as far as like talking about character designs and how Arcane designs their characters with specific motifs, specific angles. Glad to see you're doing good, H. You're in every stream. That's so cool. You're like the co-host here. Hey, just ask. Uh, you said, "Hey, managed to catch it early this time. So glad you could make it in. Good to see you again. Type in the chat. Let me know if you guys can hear me good. If the audio and stream quality is all right. How's it going, Stopzilla? Good to see you. Man, this is gonna be fun. But yeah, so going over character design. I'm trying to design my own Knights, Praetorians. You can see here I made this little graphic for you guys for the thumbnail. This design isn't finished yet, and so we're going to be working on like the hip area as well as talking about the different types of angles and armor style to get a particular look, a very unique silhouette as it's called. You guys say the stream is doing good? Just ask you. All right, cool. Hey, I see someone else here. I don't know how to pronounce your name, so I'm sorry if I botched this here, but Anu? Crazy, you just woke up? I'm glad you could make it to the stream. Welcome in. All right, cool. So it looks like the stream quality is doing good here. And with that, I can probably get started and we can just talk more and more about what we have planned. So I'm just going to disable the little stream, what is it called? Thumbnail there. And we can go in and talk about these different characters, the way that Fortiche and the designers at League of Legends design their characters, what certain shapes mean, like these rounded shapes versus sharper points, more angles, but not too sharp. What all of that kind of tells you about a character. And we'll also talk about like this is Darius here. I think that's how you pronounce his name. We'll talk about the changes that Fortiche made to his design for the. Let me switch over to mouse and keyboard here for the. Not League of Legends, sorry, the Arcane design or the Welcome to Noxus cinematic that they had, the changes that they made to his original design for that. So all of these characters, except for this guy here, are from Arcane. But this guy is, if you guys know, a Space Marines, a Warhammer 40k Space Marine. I don't know what faction or what chapter he is from. I think that this might have been an independent design. But as far as design goes, Warhammer probably has the most basic, but the most what's the right term for this? Intimidating characters that I've seen. Warriors, I should say. Particularly in the armor build. And so we'll talk about that as well. But I just want to catch up on the chat here. No worries, Castleman. I'm glad that you're back here. Warhammer, yeah, Warhammer's awesome. If you guys have ever seen the fan film Astartes, that I think the guy who made that, he was hired by the studio that makes the actual Warhammer games to do animations for him, because his fan animation was just that good. You guys will know what I'm talking about as far as like intimidating Marines, Space Marines, if you've seen Astartes here. But let me see. I'm catching up on the chat here. That one feels pretty Berserk inspired. The Arcane redesign. Oh yeah, this one here. This I agree actually. Oh, if you guys have ever played, have you guys played Elden Ring before? In the DLC that they came out with, the Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC, one of their armor sets looks exactly like this, except for the shoulder pieces, and it's got a helmet as well, but pretty much exactly like this, and that was very much Arcane inspired. I'll probably, for the video, show a little photo or some footage of that character or that armor design. But yeah, I agree. I just got a chance to watch Berserk, the 97 or 87? I don't know. But it's on YouTube. That, man, Berserk is crazy. Its story and the way its characters are portrayed. But yeah, let's see what else. H, you said you come from the land of Warhammer? Ah, well then I am in good company, brother. Warhammer was made in the UK. Oh, really? Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that. I know it's been around for like 30 years or maybe even longer. I'm not sure. But Stop Zill, you said I made a really cool effect yesterday using Krita and Blender. Used an interesting technique. Ooh, what kind of effect? I'm curious. Type that in the chat so that I can hear more about that, because that sounds like fun. I am going to be... I've been trying to up my skills in doing hand-painted textures or just images in general. I'm very slow at it, but I've been trying to use Krita a little bit more for integrating certain techniques into Blender. So I'm very curious what you did there. You said you animated glowing cracks. It's hard to do, hard to describe. Like cracks in like terrain, are you talking about? Where the glowing effect is coming out of the ground or a wall or something? Oh, on a person. Oh, that's very interesting. Ah, that's pretty cool. I'll have to hear about more of that later and how you did that. But that sounds awesome. Oh yeah, H. That's a good idea. And so I'm assuming that this effect that you did was animated. Stopzilla. Yeah, it's an emission map. Oh, that's so cool. That's awesome. Probably easier to do in Krita as well. By the way, if any of you don't know the software that I'm using, I try to use all free softwares. This isn't sponsored, by the way, but this is Krita. It's a free software, paint software. Very easy to use, in my opinion. It's pretty much just like Photoshop, but specifically designed for 2D artists. So if you're looking for something that is cheap to the point of being free, and can kind of be used for any sort of 2D texture or concept art, then I would highly recommend this. Again, not sponsored, just really cool software that I use pretty much all the time, in addition to Blender. But let me see. We need to get you back on Discord for voice chat. Yeah. I've been experimenting. So YouTube started their own kind of like Discord thing, and I've been looking into that more, but it's like directly on the channel page where you can send messages, like subscribers can send messages to each other, but on my channel page. So I'll see Discord. If that doesn't work out, if the channel thing doesn't work out, the YouTube channel thing, then I'll go back to Discord. But I am looking into reestablishing a community-based thing there. But let's see. Just Ask, you said, I haven't tried painting textures outside of Blender. I tend to use UCU Paint add-on for Blender for texturing. For texture painting. Yeah, I recently tried the UCU Paint add-on. I hadn't heard of it until some of you guys recommended it to me. And so I think in a coming stream or video, I'll probably do just a little bit of comparison between UCU Paint, Blender's built-in texture painting system, and a new texture painting system that my friend Tawan Sunflower actually developed. I think it's called Paint System. And he basically just turned Blender into Photoshop. I'll probably link a video, link his video on that in the stream later here, or in the highlight video that I'll make of this. But yeah, no, there are a lot of different tools to do texture painting. I think Krita adds a little bit more control than the stuff that I've seen Blender has, but then again, I haven't fully explored the add-ons like UCU Paint and Paint System. So I'll test all of that out and let you guys know what I think. You started to learn texture painting too, H? Oh, sorry, that message was redacted just now. Let me see. What? That's like old YouTube. What's like old YouTube? I'm curious. Stop still. But let me see. Just ask. You said I have tried that and another one called Stylized Asset Suite. It's got a lot of neat features, but it's a bit more complicated than UCU Paint and Paint System. Interesting. So I'm assuming that that's another Blender add-on then. I'd be curious if it's closer to, like, what is it called? Substance Painter or something like that. If it configures Blender to be more like Substance Painter, a completely 3D texture painting software. But let me see here. Stopzilla, you said the messaging thing for YouTube that you talked about. Oh, really? I didn't know that was an old feature in YouTube. Yeah. Well, it seems like they're starting to re-implement that. I haven't seen any announcements about it, but I have noticed some a different page, a community page on my my channel that says that it allows subscribers to just like talk and send messages and things. So I think that'd be cool. But let's see. Just ask. You said, yeah, it's got a light free version. Oh, okay, gotcha. And a paid version. The guy made it specifically for kind of artistic stylized painting. So it had features to add like paint filter effects and NPR shading and effects. Interesting. Okay, so I'll have to look at that system as well when I do the comparison of all the different paint add-ons, texture painting add-ons that Blender has. Thank you for telling me about that. I'm very curious about that. But yeah, so first of all, thank you guys so much for joining in. I'm so happy that you're all here and that I get to share this stream with you and kind of my thought process when looking at characters as well as making my own characters, particularly armored characters. So I'll get into here. By the way, hi, is it Ruigen? Ruigen. Pretty cool name. Sup, mate, you said. How's it going? First time I'm catching the stream. Welcome in. I'm so glad to have you. This is awesome. I hope you enjoy it. We're going to be going over some character design, and after I talk about the different characters that the creators at Fortiche and League of Legends, as well as I think it's called Games Workshop that owns Warhammer. Once we talk about their design elements, we'll move into designing my own armored characters. As you can see, he's missing the gauntlets and the whole lower waist and legs part, but I'll give you guys a little bit of rundown as to the design choices that I made for this character, as well as the lore. I think you might find a little bit interesting for that character. But yeah, so let's get into it here. So I think that, like, if we're coming from Arcane, right? If we're an Arcane audience, one of the at least strongest looking characters, in my opinion, is this guy right here. And I I think that his shoulder muscles and just like stature kind of speaks for itself. But when thinking about particularly the design choices that they made for his clothing, his armor, what are the words that I'm trying to say? He has a pretty interesting design choice. Very basic chest plate, and I'm sorry this is so pixelated, just zooming in pretty close here. But he has a very basic armor plating choice, and let me just add a layer. I'm using a Huion Canvas 13 tablet, by the way. It's a great tablet. I have it over on the side of my desk. It's not right in front of me. So we'll see how I'm able to navigate this, because I'm also looking at a completely different monitor as well. But this is also not sponsored, but I do get an affiliate link for this tablet. So if you guys want to buy your own tablet, then you can use my link in the description there. Oh, it's not in the description of this stream, but it will be in the description of the what is it called? The highlight video that I'll make. But yeah, so the particular design, if I can just paint over this guy here, we have very sharp edges, right? And a very basic design for the chest plate itself. And I'm already realizing that I might have to bring my tablet in front of me, because this is kind of strange having it all the way to the side on my desk. But yeah, so we have a very, very basic, very I would say rigid armor chest plate design, right? Have all of these ridges, no rounded edges, but on his gauntlets, we have pretty much only rounded edges, which is an interesting choice in my opinion. And I'll talk about why this is a significant choice a little bit later on. My theories, none of this is like confirmed by Fortiche or anything, but my theories why they made something have rigidity at its base while having some more fluid shapes around the arms and whatnot. Let me catch up in chat, because I see that you guys have been chatting quite a bit here. Hello, by the way, to the Saga of Blitz. Very cool name. You said hello. I'm glad I could actually catch one of these lives. Oh, welcome in. You said you're working, or your work is really inspiring considering my level. I'm learning general 3D, but want to focus to be animation or an animator, I assume. I'm struggling to learn shaders. Ah, yes. Well, you've come to the right place, and also thank you for the encouragement. That's very kind of you. I guess expertise is in shaders, and I have quite a few tutorials on my channel if you've seen those. And I'm also getting into animating. And I think this is like the first devlog stream that I've made for my Banner of Souls animation so far. So I'm very excited to share this stuff with you, and I'm excited for you to learn. I hope that you're able to fast track your process to becoming an animator. That would be so cool. Yeah, and then Ryujin, you said I'm a car design, or I assume that's saying I'm making a car design, but I'm also currently working on pushing my character for my project that was my master degree. Oh, very cool. Even though my car design project is related to most things, I like. So anime cars. Oh, I've seen quite a few anime car designs that are really good. I'm curious what your favorite anime car designs are. H, you said technically, you technically have seen my base tune shader when I made the Gigamug. Oh, you still have me cracking up with the Gigamug. Not a lot of people know about that yet, but they will soon. They will. Okay. Yeah, but very cool. That Gigamug is hilarious. Castleman, you say I'm hilarious. Thank you. I'm glad you're entertained. On animation, oh, gotcha. You're just clarifying what you said, Blitz. Very cool. You're working on animation. That's awesome. You'll have to, as you develop your animation a little bit more, you'll have to tell or keep me in the loop and keep this community in the loop on how that's going. Maxi Blue, you're asking, who are you asking? Where are you from? Just curious. And then Stopzilla, you said, what do you think of the Clone Wars art style? I grew up watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars. That's probably my favorite animated series. It's that's actually a tough one. It's between that, Arcane, and Avatar: The Last Airbender. All three of those animated series are incredible for their own reasons. But I particularly love the style of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. It's interesting because I should have pulled up a picture on here. It's very close to the style of Arcane, because everything has a very painted look to it. But I think the way that they did the compositing makes it all look a lot more 3D. So if they just did their compositing a little bit differently, then I think they would have been the first animation studio to achieve the Arcane look. You're asking me? I'm from the US. Yeah, I won't say exactly where in the US I like my anonymity, but I am from the US. If you feel like sharing where you're from, feel free to, but I don't want you to dox yourself. So please keep your privacy and your safety. But yeah, H, you were saying there's a new series of Avatar coming out next year. Really? I'm interested in seeing how that will play out. I know that there's been a lot of I guess controversy, maybe not a lot of controversy. But after Avatar: The Last Airbender, the Legend of Korra, which I also liked, by the way, not as much as Avatar: The Last Bender. What did I just say? Avatar: The Last Bender? Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah. But what was I saying before? I just lost my train of thought. Sorry. But yeah, I think that sorry, this stream is for now kind of turned into like my opinions on different animated series. But yeah, I'll be interested in seeing the quality of particularly writing with the new Avatar Last Airbender series that they're coming out with. But I hadn't heard about that. That's very cool to hear. Stopzilla, you said my project has a similar look to the Clone Wars. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, oh, that's so cool. If you ever post pictures on like ArtStation or post video or your progress on YouTube of that animation, I would be so down to check that out and see it. Especially if you're modeling it after the Clone Wars style. I haven't seen anyone else kind of do a style like that, except for the Clone Wars fan animation. I think it's called DuckTales, something like that. I don't know, but that one looks good as well. But I'm very excited for your animation, Stopzilla. That sounds so cool. H, you said Seven Heavens supposed to be set far into the future. Oh, okay, cool, interesting. I'm curious what their take on more modern technology would be, or if it'll go back to a more medieval aesthetic, depending on their lore in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Ryujin, you said, I don't know, favorite anime related to your card design, because you like so many, but there's a mix of Pokemon and Gundam. Oh, cool. For example, for this character alongside other themes. That's pretty awesome. And you're more than welcome to share your progress as you continue to make your characters and your card design on that. I'd love to stay in the loop about that too. But let's see here. Yeah, no, absolutely, Stopzilla. Of course, I'd be more than happy to just invite you to share your projects in the community, as well as anyone here. If you guys are working on something, I really want to encourage a community where we all, I guess, encourage each other's projects and the stuff that we're all building. I would love that. So yeah, please keep me in the loop about that stuff. Airbender was God tier. Yeah, Korra was good, but seemed like it didn't have a plan after season 1. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Season 3 was pretty good as well, in my opinion. And then season 4, it was kind of like depressing, but I liked the writing that they did with that. Yeah, hopefully this third series does well. I hope so too. I really hope so too. But yeah, so getting back to these characters, or these different design choices for these characters. So we talked about this guy. By the way, if you guys know this guy's name, I have no idea. I searched for it for hours today trying to figure out what this guy's name was. I have no idea. I haven't seen season 2 yet. I've just seen a lot of different clips, so I've technically seen season 2, just not like it all at once, if that makes sense. Mr. Bulk. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, so another design choice that they made about for this guy is that he has armor, right? He has the chest plate and whatnot, but he's also very exposed, right? All of this very exposed. No shoulder plate. That's like, if I know it's like the design choice of like rule of cool, but if this guy were to get in an actual fight, his armor would not be very practical. And so the design choices that I want to make for my characters would be a combination of rule of cool looking as well as practicality, and that will go more into the lore of this. Oh, and yes, by the way, this is Krita. It's free software, not sponsored, by the way. But I use it for pretty much anything painted or design wise. But I am looking more into Blender's own hand painted or texture painting softwares. But yeah, we can move over to Darius, his original design. He's got a very cool design, but he's got the same design flaws as Mr. Bulk over here does. Great name, by the way, H. Bulkane? Oh no, that's gonna be the new thing. Instead of Egg Cane, it's gonna be Bulkane. It's like where every character has the Giga Chad filter on, and they're all like super bulked up and beefy. Oh my goodness, that's the new theme now. That's H, you have the best ideas. Giga Cane? Oh no. That's awesome. But yeah, this guy is very Bulkane, as they say. But he does have the design flaws, which they fixed a little bit of in his newer design. But in his original design, they have, again, he's exposed quite a bit. There's not a whole lot of practicality. I know that in media, in like shows and Hollywood and other movies, having plate armor or having a full suit of armor is usually just for looks, right? Just to make you look cool. And I say that because like it does make the characters look cool, but it also in most media doesn't matter that they're wearing it, because Hollywood likes to think that armor can just be stabbed straight through, like it's paper thin. And that is very much not the case. If a sword were to stab or like hit a armor plate, it would just bounce off. That's what it was designed for. And later they had a different armor style called Brigandine, which is plate armor, like individual plates sewn into fabric, and that was to help with flexibility. But for the most part, plate armor was the strongest, some of the lightest, as far as I'm aware, and the most durable armor that they had out there. It was pretty flexible too, but Brigandine kind of like made it a little bit more, or allowed for a little bit more flexibility. So you'll see in like more Renaissance era paintings, knights towards the end of like the Renaissance era, they started to have like certain armor pieces be plate armor, and then other armor pieces being Brigandine, based on their own needs, their own fighting style, how they wanted to or I guess their idea of like what's best for their mobility and other things like that. So they had different, I guess each knight had a different style of what they were going for, not for style points, but specifically for agility, flexibility, and protection. And we'll talk about that more when I get into my character's design here. Let me see. Have I used grease pencil for my films? Yeah, I have not, but I've dabbled in it a little bit just to see. I'm still learning the interface, so it might take a little bit before I'm like able to actually do anything in grease pencil. But I'm trying to widen my skills, so that I'm able to utilize every tool that, or for the most part, every tool that Blender offers, as well as other free softwares like Krita, in order to make the best animation that I can make possible, right? So I'll probably do a stream, especially with like effects, 2D effects and whatnot. I'll probably be using grease pencil for my films with 2D effects. I want it to look very close to Arcane, but my style also has a little bit more realism in the way that the characters are modeled. Just like eye proportions, right? Nose, facial structure, all of that stuff. But as far as painterly style, Arcane is what I'm going for. But yeah, great question, by the way. Thanks for bringing that up. But yeah, so Darius, he's very exposed. He's got some massive shoulder plate armor here, which, if you guys know me, shoulder plates are, I guess, the symbol of strength, in my opinion, on how big or small they are. And they can go about designing those in different ways, but shoulders, shoulder plate armor, chest plate, I mean, it does the trick for showing strength, but shoulder plate armor is really what protects most of the body when you're like protecting, or sorry, when you're turning in, if that makes sense, to deflect a blow off of like the shoulder there. You kind of like put your shoulder first, your dominant shoulder, forward to protect yourself more. And so whenever there's like armor or whatnot, I think shoulder plating shows strength. Oh, I'm definitely gonna have to to move my my drawing pad here in a minute, because that is atrocious handwriting. But yeah, so for Darius, they have a lot of like stuff going for him as far as like shoulder width, right? He's very imposing as far as his shoulder width. And then just musculature in general, they're showing his arms are pretty beefy and whatnot. But they also have very much rounded armor pieces. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion. You guys might have a different view, but the more rounded something is, right? Like the more rounded a character's armor is, the less imposing it looks. But if you have sharp designs like these, let me zoom in a little bit closer. If you have sharp designs like these little spikes here, right, that shows, in my opinion, hostility, right? So there's a difference in like, so let me show you here. Roundedness is fluid, right? Sharp angles are more rigid. Oh shoot, I forgot how to spell this word. Does it have a D? I'm gonna just oh no, we'll just say strong. that's embarrassing. And then sharper points are hostile, right? So another word for strong could be like confidence, right? So confidence. I botched that. That's okay. Confidence, right? Fluidity for the more rounded shapes. This was a little bit too close together, but that's all right. So that's just my take on armor design, right? Particularly armor design, or clothing design as well. You could think about this too. Pen cane. Oh no, H. Let's stick with bulk cane. Pen cane. More like pen pain. This is... I don't think I've ever had my hand in this position while trying to draw or write before. But let's see. Juan, you said... I saw some previous videos of your Arcane and Ghibli style videos. I would suggest making silhouette round for the Ghibli style. Yeah. Videos and sharp edges for Arcane style. Exactly. And I think you're hitting on a really important point here, is that rounded shapes feel more pliable. They feel more soft, right? Whereas rigid shapes... I'm going off of the frame here. Let me just erase that. Rigid shapes, they feel more confident, right? More grounded, if that makes sense. So like for my little mushroom character, right? In the top corner. I can't see him on my screen, but you guys can see him. He's very round, right? He's got very, very rounded shapes. No sharp edges. If he were sharper or more rigid, then he'd probably look a little bit more hostile, right? But roundedness adds to more of like the innocence, cuteness, and whatnot. So in my opinion, I think that the roundedness of Darius's design kind of takes away from his imposing look, even though he has a very confident build, right? But then they do kind of make up for it with the spikes. So that's just my opinion. But they changed his design to have a lot more rigidity in his Welcome to Noxus style, right? So they have more of the rigid edges. And okay, I am going to move my my tablet here. 1 second, I just gotta bring that up. The difficult thing is that where it's placed, where I'm actually able to use it well, it's right in front of my keyboard, so I can't see anything. But we'll go with this, and this should be better for me to, I guess, display my points a little bit more. But yeah, so he's got the more rigid edges, right? He also still has those spikes. The only rounded sort of aesthetic that they kept with him is his shoulder plates, right? But they also reduced the angle, or I guess the roundedness a little bit. They had it more flat, right, on the side and the top, so that the only rounded space was here. And they also kind of masked that that curve with the point up here to gain more of that hostile look. And they, of course, for like leg armor and whatnot, it kind of generally goes in the shape of the leg as well. But you also have those. You can't really see my my thing, so I can go over here. So rounded shape, not too round, right? But you have those spikes that still display hostility. They also added a different sort of like kneecap design as well as shin guard to give him sort of that element of rigidity, kind of mixed in with the elegance of the rounded shapes, right? But this is an inward curve, right? It doesn't. It's not going out. So it's interesting. Going. Let me show you guys over here. So, well, actually, I'll show you guys over here. Going out like this, right, is pretty soft, at least for the shape. Doesn't have a whole lot. Well, sorry, it has a lot of flow to it, right? But if you invert that color, or sorry, not color, that curve, so that this direction is the inside, right? Then you're creating something that allows you to have, or you're creating a shape that allows you to have two sharper points on the ends, right? And that's exactly what they did over here. So even though this is an inward shape, it's almost like it's elegant, right? But it's also hostile. It's an interesting mix. So I like his redesign. I like what they did. The issue still is that he's exposed, right? But I mean, rule of cool. This guy, he's awesome. His design looks fantastic. So not too worried about it there. His chest plate is incredible. Very berserk-like again. Great pointing that out, by the way. Yes, very much berserk-like, and just has the sort of confidence that you would hope, or at least I would hope, for his original design, that he doesn't display too much here. Don't get me wrong, I like his design, his original design, but his newer design looks a whole lot more confident, imposing, and dangerous, which is what we want from a character, a warrior of his stature, right? And so I guess he can make up for his exposed... did I just say exposed? For his exposed limbs here, with how great of a fighter he is, and stuff like that, right? We'll move on to another Noxian character here. This guy, he's the pinnacle, at least in my opinion, of practicality and rule of cool. And the reason for that is he has the more rigid shoulder pads, right? He's got the helmet that not only protects the sides of his face and the like all the way around, right? But he's also got this little neck brace that protects him from behind. That's what my dad actually had a really interesting thought about this. So my dad, he works out quite a bit. He's a very muscular guy. And he told me that if in working out, and this will make sense here in a second, in working out, if your chest shows strength, right, in like the size of it in working out, then your back and the size of your back in working out and musculature shows confidence, right? Confidence. There we go. And that stuck with me for a really long time, particularly in character design. I can have a character, think like Gaston or whatever. You can have a character with like a, oh, whoops. We'll see if I could do a quick little caricature of Gaston, right? He's this very confident guy. He's got the chin, right? We'll do a that's pretty strange, right? But this is his hair, right? He's got the big man bun or whatever. But then he has a very big chest, right? Always puffing out. He's very strong, right? Showing his strength by puffing out his chest. This is a terrible drawing of Gaston, but you guys get the idea. So a character that always shows you their chest is trying to, in my opinion, prove that they're strong, right? They're not displaying confidence, they're displaying pride, right? A character who's showing their back, however, a character who's able to turn his back on you, and I'll actually move this guy inward so we can see. Yeah. Character who can show his back to you is a character who's confident in his strength, right? He doesn't have anything to prove. He has confidence in his ability, so he's not concerned with a threat if he's able to turn his back on the danger, right? So that's just something that I think that is very interesting, a little tidbit for you guys when you're designing your own characters, your own warriors, or just like confident characters, right? So yeah, that's one thing about this guy. I'll catch up with chat in a second here. I'll just finish up talking about this guy, and then we can talk about this Space Marine and how it kind of breaks most of the rules that I'm laying out here, but in the best ways possible. So let me show you guys. So another very great thing about this guy is that he's completely plated up, right? There isn't a single space like Darius. He has his arms exposed, right? This guy, he does not have his arms exposed. He's very practical with where his armor is, as well as like his thigh armor, or his hip armor, I should say. And it's in different pieces, right? Like all of these individual pieces. And normally I would say that if you have a lot of individual pieces, it shows more that your character is like focusing on dexterity and agility. But particularly for this guy and chestplate armor, I will say, if you have more pieces, it's almost like another way of adding strength to your character, if that makes sense. I'll show you more in depth where having more pieces shows more of like the dexterity. It's usually in regards to the shoulder plate armor. But yeah, this guy is completely kitted out. Nothing is exposed here. He's got all of his armor protecting all of the vital areas, as well as his mobility areas, right? He's got to make sure he stays mobile. So his design, I would say, is a very strong representation of a character who combines rule of cool with practicality and protection. But yeah, let me catch up in the chat here. H, you have been sending a lot of messages, as well as Juan. Let's see. So H, you said in the future it will be lack of space cane. I don't even know what that means. But yes, continue with all of the puns on Arcane, please. I enjoy this. Your mug is not round on my screen. It's not round? Or did I say mug or mushroom? Sorry, I was talking about my mushroom character. My bad. But yeah, let me catch up on some more chat stuff. I feel like I have a little bit less context, so I need to focus in and figure out what you guys were talking about here. But H, you said, I will say, dude's face does look like he. Oh no. This here. I'm not going to say the word, I don't swear. But yeah, that's an interesting observation there. But yeah, moving on. You know that they made him younger so he would be less bulky and more athletic. Yeah, I noticed that about his character design too. Darius's character design, or his redesign. And I think they also made him younger. So that they could show progression in his character throughout the story. I don't know if they're making a full animated series with him in it, but the fact that they made him with so much detail just for one music video, and that it was connected to Arcane, I feel like they're going to have him play a big role in their next series that they're working on. They did announce that they're working on another series, and that it might have to do with Noxus or Demacia. So I'm intrigued in hearing more about that. But yeah, Juan, you said, have you tried directional brush strokes in the compositor? Ever since procedural nodes came out in Blender, I've wanted to try something like that. I'm curious what you're talking about in the compositor having directional brushstrokes. I just saw recently, I think like Default Cube, or does that guy have 2 channels or just 1? I'm always confused because I see his face in multiple channels. But Default Cube, if you know that Blender artist, he just made a compositing tutorial about blending objects in spaces. I hope that makes sense. I'm not quite sure how to describe probably like objects that intersect with each other, blending those together instead of having the sharp edges of a 3D object clipping into itself. And one of the things in the tutorial that he showed was that in the compositor editor, you can apply textures to objects. And I found that very fascinating. So I want to play around with that and see how that might work. But let's see. Stop Zilla, you said you just noticed that I'm on paint layer 139. Yeah. It gets rough out there, boys. I end up making a ton of layers because I don't want to paint on the same layer for everything. I want to preserve as many individual layers as possible, but it does end up equating to a lot of stacks, if you will. Cake cane? Oh no, H. Let me see. Juan, you said, wait, I have an idea you can try out for directional brush strokes. What if you could get the contours like what line art modifier does and use that to direct the strokes? Oh, that would be interesting. That's almost like using UV maps or normal maps as well. I'd be interested in trying that out. I'll have to look into more of how I could implement that, but I like the way you're thinking. I really like the way you're thinking there. Let's see. Just ask, you said, oh yeah, I saw that and messed around with the Sobel. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. For line art method, it's not great, but it's cool and works really well with transparency that other methods don't. I'll have to look into that more. And you said, oh, you followed up with, oh yeah, do you know, what does that say? Is that supposed to say traditionalist? I don't know how to pronounce that word. Or tradigitalist? Oh, are you saying that that's like a YouTube channel? Traditionalist? Interesting. Okay. Their paint geonode system is crazy. I'll have to look into that. Again, I'm going to in the future I'm going to do a stream where I kind of like compare all of the different texture painting add-ons that they have in Blender, as compare all of that to Blender's built-in system and see what works best for my workflow. So yeah, let me know if there are any other, like in the comments, let me know if there are any other sorry, the comments of this stream, not the live chat, because it'll be hard for me to check in the live chat, like going back, but comment on this stream if there are any other add-ons that I should be checking out when I do that comparison. Because I want to know what you guys are using and what I can kind of like test to see what will work best. But yeah, let me catch up a little bit more. Traditional mixed with digitalist. Ah, yeah, gotcha. But Stopzilla, you said I'm making a website for my portfolio soon. Oh, that's so cool. So you'll be able to see my work. I can't wait, man. That sounds awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome. So you're designing the website like on your own? You're building it on your own, or are you using like a like an ArtStation type of website that's like for artists' portfolios? I'm curious. But yeah, you said Windows Paint, the OG version, is goated for texturing. Really? I haven't ever used Windows Paint. But I've seen people use it a lot in different videos. So I'll have to, I might try that out as well in the comparison stream for all of the texture painting. You said, no, that's a joke. I'll throw it in as an honorable mention then. Awesome. But yeah, let's see. Jane says, I think your drawing and details are amazing. Oh, thank you. You exude a lot of natural creativity. Thank you so much. Hopefully I'll be able to come up with a design that kind of like blends the aesthetics of these different designs here from other artists. But yeah, that'll be for the second half of this stream here. We'll be designing my Praetorian Knights. But yeah, Juan, you said people go crazy on Windows Paint. They sure do. I don't know how, but they sure do. I don't think, from what I understand, it's kept its primitive look, but it still has like all of the utilities, or most of the utilities of modern painting softwares. Do I have a Discord server? I used to. I don't right now. I'm looking into YouTube's what is it called? Their community system. That it's like, I think that they're making their own Discord just integrated into YouTube, but I'll have to look into that more. If not, then I'm gonna turn the Comfee Mug community Discord back on very soon here. I just need to hire a moderator for or a couple moderators for that. But yeah, Stopzilla, you said you're designing your website yourself. Fits your needs best. Nice. Yeah, doing it yourself. Props to you, man. That's awesome. I for the longest time have tried to do everything myself, and particularly for my animations. I don't want to like kit bash, even though that's the harder road to go down. That's the easier road to go down, is to get kit bash from other like elements that you can just and assets that you can just pay for. I want to build everything myself for Banner of Souls. Let's see here. The H was here. Okay. I was confused as to what your name was. Hi, by the way. Great to see you again. You still do VUT, but you're not active, right? What's define VUT for me. Not quite sure what you're asking there. But I'd love to answer your question. And then Juan, you said, is Heartborn or Banner of Souls coming out first? Great question. So Banner of Souls is my short film series. But so I'm going to be working on that the most, but then I have Heartborn, which is, I will eventually make it into an animated short film, like have its own animated short film. But that's like a project where I'll just be working on little dioramas and what is it called? Like little lore videos, making characters and whatnot. Not exactly having a full storyline going through there, although I do have the lore and the storyline already built out for that world. But that'll be like the world that I go to when I personally need a break from doing Banner of Souls content and want to focus on something that's just a little bit more lighter, you know? So Banner of Souls technically will be coming out first, but it's like I'm doing different content for both. Banner of Souls is strictly a film series, like an episodic series, kind of like Arcane, right? My episodes won't be as long, probably, because Arcane's episodes, they're like 45 minutes each. Mine are probably going to be closer to like 10 minutes each, at least for the first season, because it's just me working on it. But that's the goal for Banner of Souls. And then Heartborn, each video that I make on Heartborn is like it's going to be its own thing, if that makes sense. So technically they're both coming out at the same time, but they're different project types. I hope that answers your question. But yeah, I'm excited to share both for you guys. Let me see. The H was here. You said you mean Discord. Oh, gotcha. So I've paused my Discord currently. Just because there were certain things at the time that were coming out about Discord that like were had certain legal implications for Discord servers that couldn't be moderated 24/7. And the more I looked into that, the less I felt confident in having a Discord server open, because I was the only moderator in there. So I'll open it back up once I am able to pay for moderators to just, make sure that there's nothing inappropriate or anything being shared in Discord. But yeah, Stopzilla, you said I would happily not model, but I just can't afford to hire someone at the moment. Yeah, I get that. Plus it adds a challenge and gets me out of my comfort zone. Plus making me, makes me just that bit more of a Renaissance man. Oh, cool. Yeah. Sorry. I had I don't have my glasses on. It was kind of hard to read that word for a second there. But yeah, no, challenge yourself, grow your skills. And then when you can afford to, it's always fun to work with another 3D artist and get their sort of style input and whatnot. Juan, you said, what's some advice for anything characters? Oh, sorry, animating characters, since you're making everything yourself? That's a great question. And so I actually, my animation history is, if you guys don't know, I did not 3D animation. I did stop motion animation for about 7 years. And I actually have a lot of my stuff up on YouTube. It's kind of embarrassing, but I can link that for you guys. If you guys want to see that. But what I would say is just start with understanding physics, gravity specifically. You can take a lot of reference footage, right, of just like seeing how characters move depending on their weight, right? I would say that the number one thing in animation that really sells a believable animation is adding weight to your characters, to what your characters are holding as well. There's a really, this is going to be a very abstract thing for me to bring out here, but do you guys remember the Bumblebee Transformers movie that came out a while ago? It's got a lot of mixed reviews, but in the end fight scene, when Bumblebee is fighting one of the Decepticons, Bumblebee picks up a what is it called? Like a steel beam or something, and there's like, I'm pretty sure they didn't use motion capture for the Transformers. I could be wrong about that, but they added so much weight in their animation specifically to that steel beam that he picks up, in that it's like you can see that he's moving his body when he's swinging it. He's moving his body in a way that's like almost like he's dragging the steel beam because it's so heavy. So figuring out the weight of certain things will really sell your animations. Momentum and weight. That's what I would say. I hope that answers your question. I'm very passionate about this stuff. My number one passion is writing stories and making animations. I haven't been able to make an animation in over 5 years since I stopped doing stop motion, and have just been trying to build my skills in 3D animation because I want to do something that's a little bit more detailed. So I am so excited that I can finally get back to animating things and share that process with you guys as well. But yeah, H, you said gravity is important. Absolutely. For animations, and follow through and second motion really sells movement. Yeah. All of the extra stuff, right? So it's particularly for making your characters feel alive. Like they can be walking and doing their basic movements, but you also want to implement like a constant breath animation, like their chest moving up and down, right? Or for like, think about Arcane. There's not a single frame where a character isn't moving. Even if they're standing still, they always have those like involuntary movements, because if you think about like humans and whatnot, their heart, your heart is beating at a constant rate, and that's pumping blood all throughout your body. So even if you're trying to stay perfectly still, that involuntary movement within your body will generate a sort of like constant, kind of like twitching, but also a little bit of, what is it called? I guess secondary movement, micro movements. Yeah, exactly. H, you're spot on with that. Micro movements, that really sell the believability that your characters are alive. Oh, Juan, you said you should get going. You'll hop back on later. See you guys soon. Thank you so much for joining the stream, man. I'm so glad you could join in. I hope that your projects go well, and I can't wait to hear more about those in the future. So keep me in the loop, and I hope you have a great night, man, or day, whatever time it is for you. but thanks so much for joining in. Jane, you said, oh, I have seen some of your stop motion videos. You have? Oh no. That's kind of embarrassing. They're really great, and I encourage anyone to watch them. That stuff takes a ton of practice, dude. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Spending several hours just in my cave in my room with the studio lights on and just animating the characters. It's all with Legos and clay and whatnot. But it was a lot of fun. But yeah, all reluctantly, I will link some of those videos or that channel for you guys to see if you want to see it. But yeah, so getting back to this, and then we'll get into the design here. The Space Marine characters of Warhammer 40K kind of break all of the rules that I have for designing characters, because almost all of their designing imposing characters and armor, because almost all of their armor pieces are round, right? Oh, whoops. I kind of overshot that a little bit. They're very round. They have all of these edges. Maybe if I actually move this image up a little bit, because it has the 3D model version, it might be easier to see. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So yeah, almost all of the shapes are very round, very basic shapes. There is a little bit of rigidity. If I move back to my paint layer, there's a little bit of rigidity in stuff like this. But the majority of the shapes are, they're very rounded, right? But the thing is, these guys' design, they're like giants. They are like 2 or 3 times, I think like 2 times taller at least than regular humans, right? So what they lack in sort of like imposing armor design, they gain in just how tall they are and how they operate as teams. If you guys have seen some of the animations, like the Astartes animation, then you guys will know that how they move is just complete business. There is no fumbling around. There is no like question as to what they're doing in a given moment. It is constantly that they are like elite operatives. They know exactly what they're doing. And so they get away with, in my opinion, having all of these more rounded shapes to them. Before I go any further, let me just answer your question, Leo. By the way, hi. Thank you so much for joining. You said, question, if you had a character with hanging chains, I do have a character with hanging chains. We can talk about that in a little bit here, or right now if you want. Would you animate the chains with hand animation, like moving bones around, or do some simulation or something? That's a great question, actually. And I guess it depends on how long your chains are, and how realistic you want the chains to feel. So for example, if you had chains that are like hanging off the sides of the character's arms, right? Maybe like think for example Kratos in the God of War video games. He's got his chains around his uh, arms, right? This is I'm doing such a fantastic job painting these chains on this guy. That is peak chain quality right there. But he has some of the chains or even some of the fabric hanging down, right? Off of his thing, but it's not so long to the point where it will obstruct his movement or where he'll be stepping on it or it'll be caught in something. They're short enough to, in my opinion, have or be simulated, right? So you can have those physics simulations for the chains, and it won't be too much of an obstruction to whatever the character is doing or however you animate the character. However, if you have chains like these here, right, where they're long and your character is either holding them or they're attached to his gauntlets, right, or just long chains in general. I don't know where you would want to put your chains on your character. But if they're long, then I would say animate them like their own character. And you can see this pretty well with how the animators at Fortiche did Jinx's hair braids. Is I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure those hair braids were hand animated as well. And they specifically said, the developers specific, or sorry, not the developers, the animators specifically said that they treated those hair braids like characters themselves, right? In the directions that they would fly or would pull or move or whatever. Not like they were snakes on Jinx's hair and like they had a mind of their own, but like those Jinx's hair braids are so long that if she's spinning around to I don't know, point her gun in a particular direction, or if she's like moving at a very fast rate, you want to have more control over the way that her hair is animated and the way that these longer chains are animated, because there is a high chance that if you animate them with physics, right? Then, sorry, a physics simulation, if they're not animated, if they're just simulated with physics, wow, words, then they won't, sorry, not they won't. They'll have a very high chance of obstructing what your character is doing, or how you've animated your character. So you'll want to have a greater control over that stuff. I hope that answers your question. There is of course room for both, but for anything longer than just like a few links, right? Or something that's like just a design choice and not, sorry, a smaller design choice and not something that's super long, then these types can definitely be simulated, versus these I would say have bones animated. I almost spelled that like anime. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. It just brings a lot more control for your own utility's sake. But yeah, just to ask, you said, haven't seen the animation, but I have played the VR game. That was pretty cool. I don't think I have the context for that. Are you talking about H's comment. By the way, halal is H, by the way. That a little bit of H lore for you guys. His name is H. Okay, so what did you say? They're based on old tanks. Oh, are you guys talking about Warhammer? Oh, is Warhammer armor based on old tanks? That's interesting. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, H, but that's something that I actually didn't know before. I like that. But let's see. Ryujin. Still really like your name, by the way. You said you can use Wiggle to... you can use Wiggle It add-on. Or also do it with an armature instead. And some constraints like the damp track... if you're looking for an efficient way. Interesting. Yeah. I hadn't considered wiggle physics. Do those have gravitational force as well? Right. I'm curious about that. This armor is based on takes, you're saying, H? That's awesome. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense as well. And yeah, they're very tanky too. And I think that leads us perfectly into the design for my characters, my Praetorians. We have a little bit of the where's my brush? There it is. We have a little bit of the design inputs. Let me make my brush a little bit bigger so that I can see it clearly. A little bit of leftover stuff from last stream. But yeah, so speaking of tanks, these characters in particular, for the lore, for my Praetorians, they have to be very tanky. H, I was telling you a little bit about this in the last stream. But my Praetorians have to have complete practicality for the lore of this, and I'll get into why, while still looking very cool. I gotta make them look very imposing. And I think that the shoulder plates, again, create that kind imposing look, in my opinion. It's not about the chest plate or anything. It's about the shoulder plates. And kind of the forearm plates as well. But we'll get to that in a second. But the reason why these characters have to be so tanky is because the magic that is being used against them, right? Or at least the wizards that these guys are fighting against, they use a magic that can pass through pretty much any type of material, except for a specific compound that these Praetorians have discovered, and they coat their armor in it in order for them to be protected from the magic that they're fighting against. So their armor, for practicality reasons, not only has to protect them from all the way around, but it also has to be bulky because they're coating it with this stone-like substance. I'll get more into that a little bit later. But I just want to say hi, by the way. I hope I pronounced your name right. Cursos Anime Art. You said, hello, I'm from Brazil. Congratulations on the amazing projects. Thank you so much. And also welcome into the stream. I'm so glad to have you. I think this is the first time I'm seeing you here, if I'm correct about that. So glad to have you. And thank you for the encouragement. I'm very, very excited about sharing all of this stuff with you guys. Also, Jane, have a great night. Thank you so much for tuning into the stream. So glad that you could join us. And for anyone who's wondering, this full stream is being recorded and it'll be available for you guys to watch in its entirety next Monday when I release the highlight video. It'll be in a link in the description of the highlight video. So just in case you missed some of it, or you need to jump out at any point during the stream, you'll be able to rewatch it all on this coming Monday when I release the highlight video. So once again, thank you so much for joining, Jane. So glad to have you, and I hope you have a great night. But yeah, so what were we saying for these guys? As far as practicality goes, they have to be completely kitted out, completely protected from any sort of magic that is coming in and trying to attack them. Because that magic can pass through any material besides the stone-like material that they coat their armor in. It's kind of like an alloy. It can be mixed with metal, but it's strongest when it's in its stone form. So I won't. I gotta choose very carefully what I tell you guys, and when I tell you guys about the lore, the names of things, and whatnot. So I'll keep the name of that stone material hidden for now. But I am I'm very excited to share with you all of the lore for the characters. This character in particular, his name is Keltaris. I talked about him a little bit in my announcement video for the Banner of Souls series. And he's the guy who you've seen has the arcane skin texture. I got to figure out when I'm going to be making that tutorial for you guys. I'm continually making tweaks on that skin texture, or shader, I should say, that arcane skin shader, so that it's pretty close to perfect for when I release it for you guys. But yeah, H, you said you need to do a collab with Dylan Gu and Nagi. All three of your skills combined will make something cool. I have such high admiration for both of those guys. They make incredible artwork. It would be so cool to work with them. I'd have to figure out time-wise how that would work. But yes, Dylan Gu and Nagi, if any of you guys ever want to do a little bit of a collab, let me know. That would be pretty exciting. But yeah, so for these characters, they have to be very protected, and that's why I've also given this guy like a I guess you could call it a neck brace. It's more so that his armor, his chest plate, is extending further up than his neckline, so that his neckline isn't exposed. I'm catching up in the chat again. Jimmy, by the way, hi Jimmy, how's it going? Good to see you again. You said, what do you think about drawing in Blender using grease pencil? Great question. I answered a little bit of this in earlier in the stream. I've only used grease pencil a little bit. I'm just learning the interface for it so far. It's kind of hard to navigate as any new software or new interface would be. But the more that I get comfortable with it, the more I'll end up using grease pencil. But I'm definitely going to use grease pencil for 2D animated effects and things like that. And I'll just have to build my skills in that so that I can, in a future stream, show you guys how to animate your own 2D smoke effects or other things, and ways you can implement grease pencil, or ways that you can cheat a 2D effect by using 3D elements, which I am more comfortable with. But yeah, just ask. You said Dylan Gu is such a cool guy, really chill. It was fun talking to him in Discord. Oh, that's so awesome that you got the opportunity to do that. Yeah, he seems like a really chill guy. Really cool. Yeah, it would be awesome to have that opportunity. H, you said you do sound like a deep voice, Dylan Gu. I do? That's awesome. Interesting. I've been told that I have a radio voice or something, but that was when I was serving ice cream, and I had to talk in a microphone to call people's name out. Funny little Christian lore drop for you guys. But yeah, just ask. You said, have you thought about trying Goo Engine before, or if or any test with the Blender NPR branch they're making. Yes, I have thought very much about both of those. I want to make sure that the majority of the stuff that I do as far as tutorials is in free softwares for you guys. So like Krita, Blender, they're both free. Goo Engine, as far as I'm aware, is a paid version of Blender, which is totally fine. Props to Dylan Goo for making his own engine, and he's got so many extra nodes in there specifically built for the NPR style. But I have recently heard that Blender has their own NPR engine, like, or at least maybe that they made it before for a specific project, or they're in the works of making it. But I did also see the announcement video that Dylan Goo put out, that he is merging his engine with Blender to be like completely connected. Not sure what the timeline looks like for that. I think he said it might take a few years, but I am very excited about that. Just ask, you said Goo Engine is free, just gotta compile it yourself. Really? Cool. I could probably do that in the future. I'll have to see how that might work. But yeah, H, you said Goo Engine will become in main Blender in future. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Goo Engine will become the new NPR render. Yeah, aren't they? Are they getting rid of Eevee to just have the Goo Engine in there, or are they gonna have both? I forget what they said about that. But yeah, all in all, I'm very excited for that when it does come out. And I'll be looking more into the versions of Blender that are catered more towards NPR stuff. For now, I'm using the regular versions of Blender as the new updates come out. But I am definitely very interested in more stylized, prioritized versions of Blender. I'm going to catch up on the messages that just came in, and then I'll continue back with the design for this character, because we only have 30 more minutes for the rest of the stream. So let me see here. Goo Engine is really fun. I found a way to make procedural impact frame effects. Really? Oh, that sounds awesome. I'm curious what kind of impact frames, like energy or like wind impacts, or just all of the above, or rock impacts, like fractures, if you will, in stone. Chelsea, cool name, by the way. You said, so I can't paint in Blender. That's all right. Well, if you're wondering what software I'm using right here, this is Krita. So it's a free paint software. But Blender has their own grease pencil software that I'm figuring out right now as well. And I'll make a more tutorial based stream on the ways that you can paint in Blender and how to do that. There are several add-ons for doing that as well. H, you said I've been playing around with Goo Engine and you really like it. Yeah, it seems like it's got some really good what is it called? Really good features. The experimental NPR branch is really cool, but crashes a lot. But the stuff you can do with it is insane. Gotcha. So it probably doesn't have the same amount of support that the main Blender source has, but if it has different capabilities that are more inclined towards what is it called? NPR renders, then I'll probably end up using that at some point, or doing a stream where I just test that out. I think that would be a lot of fun with you guys. Jimmy, you said you should check UCU Paint if you don't feel like getting into grease pencil. I've actually started using UCU Paint. And figuring out what the difference is between UCU Paint and Paint System. I think they're both really great add-ons. I'm trying to figure out what both of them are geared more towards. But yeah, I think I'll end up testing out all of them and then figuring out which one works best for my workflow or which ones. But yeah, I'm excited to share more of that process with you guys. But yeah, so in addition to just the practicality of this armor that I have here, I wanted to have more of the rigid angles and almost sharp angles, right? But not too sharp for these shoulder plates. But what I like about designing things like this, like armor or clothing, or other things, is that, sorry, I just got distracted by seeing Toby. Hi, Toby. By the way, I'll check out your message in a second, but I'm so glad to see you here. But yeah, what I really like about the different sort of like basic shapes that you can use when designing characters' armor or clothing is that the types of angles or lack of angles, right? If you have something more fluid, more rounded, I should say, tells you a lot about that character's headspace, their ideology, who they are as a person before they ever talk. And so the Praetorians in my my film series, Banner of Souls, are very, very rigid in their ideology. Very much against anything magic. They have good reason for that because the magic that has been so widely accepted and used in all cultures around the world has been corrupting the world, as well as corrupting like people if they use it too much. Think of like Victor in Arcane using the hex crystal and like modifying himself a little bit and how it corrupted him to where he lost most of his humanity. That's kind of what the magic in this in the world of Banner of Souls does, but to a greater extent, where it not only corrupts people, but it corrupts like plants and the earth and even gravitational forces as well, the more that it's used. So it kind of rips apart the fabric of reality, if that makes sense. Yeah, Victor was using the Void with Hextech. Yeah. I don't know if they said that explicitly, but I remember when all the theories came out, I was really excited because I'd done a little bit of a lore dive into the magic systems and characters of Arcane. Sorry, not of Arcane, of League of Legends. And I was really excited when the Hex Gem or the Hex Crystal started, Hex Core, I should say, turned purple into that more Void look. Shimmer is from Void. Yeah. I'm interested to see if they go any further with Shimmer in their future storylines. But yeah, sorry, let me catch up with Toby here. You said, hey, Comfee, Toby here. Gotta go to bed now, but keep up with the awesome work. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't read that earlier. So glad that you could make it again. Thank you so much for joining, Toby. You said also, I just added a revised version of my insignia design to the drive. Oh, I'm excited to see that. Very excited. I love your design, and I can't wait to implement it. If you guys aren't aware, by the way, all of the for my characters, for my Praetorians that are in this particular group, I won't say the name of their group yet. I'll save that for a later stream, later lore drop, if you will. But all of the Praetorians have to constantly have their armor on for practicality reasons while they're outside of the very heavily protected walls of their main city, right? And that's just because magic is so prevalent in the outside world, and their military force is so hated by everyone who uses magic that they can be attacked at any point. And so they have to have their full body covered in armor. And so I need certain character designs to individualize the different Praetorians, so that like people can know who is who while you're not able to see their face. So what I'm doing is for my patrons, particularly in the Elder Mug and the Magic Mug tiers, those are the two highest tiers, I'm going to ask you guys for your own sigil designs, like a signet ring design or something to indicate who is who, so that the different characters, the different Praetorians, can identify each other on the battlefield, and know who they're talking to. So yeah, I'll make a post about that on Patreon in the coming days here. But Toby, I'm very excited about your sigil design that you're working on, your insignia design that you're working on, and I think that the ideas that you had for a particular character are going to be very cool. Very excited to share that with the rest of you guys in a future stream here. But let me see. Just Ask, you said, oh yeah, this is really off topic, but though up or thought up, I'm not sure. Sorry. I'm having a hard time reading it. Sorry. If you ever need an interesting sorry. I'm having a really hard time reading your thing here. I'm assuming that says procedural. Thought of. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, you're totally fine. I'm assuming that word is procedural. If you want an interesting procedural like paint overlay, plug the color of noise node into a separate hue saturation value. Oh, interesting. Okay. I'll look into that. I haven't tried that before, but I like the way you're thinking there. I'll check that out probably tomorrow after I've done the video editing for this stream. But yeah, thank you for that tip. That sounds pretty cool. Jimmy, you said those guys must be very mobile but effective at all. I feel probably mostly a horse riding faction or riding some other form of animal or mechanical device. Are you talking about for my Praetorians, for these guys here, that they might not be super mobile? The armor would be useless against range spell casters, I feel. Yeah. So this is the Praetorian faction, I guess, of the military force. I also have Knight Maidens that have a less bulky armor build, and they're more geared towards stealth and sneaking up to more ranged spell casters. So we'll do a design stream for the Knight Maidens in a future stream. And then I also have the Legate, which are the highest in command. They're less armor heavy and more agility based, but I do need to create a shock troop type design for the Praetorians as well, to have less tank builds that are heavier and more focused on agility and dexterity. Which, by the way, dexterity, I have a little thing over here to show you guys. what I was talking about earlier, when particularly you're using more pieces for shoulder armor, like this shoulder plate here. I'll try to draw it a little bit better up here. So let me zoom in real quick. If you're so words, if your character's shoulder armor is mostly one piece, then that kind of, in my opinion, symbolizes strength and confidence, right? Your character is focusing on being very strong, very tanky, if you will. But if you have a character that has shoulder armor, that we'll see if I can do this a little bit better of a drawing than the one down there. If your character's shoulder armor has more pieces, oh, that's not going to work. More pieces added to it, right? So this is the base of the shoulder, the main piece for the shoulder armor. But then if he has like an extra plate underneath that and another plate underneath that, you see a lot of this in medieval and Renaissance era plate armor, where they have more smaller plates underneath their bigger plating. Then this allows for more mobility. So mobile, right? More mobility and dexterity, right? They can move their shoulder around and their arm around a little bit better. It doesn't symbolize strength as much, but it does keep that idea in character design that this character who has more pieces to their shoulder armor, or their like hip armor, right? So there's a difference between having, if I can show you guys here, having like a single piece style, and I'm just throwing out a very rough design, right? This angle isn't going to work, right? So if this is all one or two pieces, right, then that's very strong versus, let me hide this, versus if it's something like, kind of like samurai have, right, where it's individual pieces, and this is a very rough sketch of what that would look like, then that kind of shows that these guys are going to be more mobile, more agile, because they have more flexibility in their armor itself. But for these guys in particular, for my Praetorians, they're going to have a lot more bulkiness and be built more like tanks. They have to be very muscular, very strong in order to carry all of this. And they have to be able to run in this armor, which is hard because it's heavy. But they're definitely not going to be able to run as fast as my shock troops that I'll eventually design with more of the dexterity based armor, right? So let me catch up with you guys here. Find where I left off in the chat. Let's see. Using hue. Oh, gotcha. You're just ask. You're following up on your noise plugged into the HSV node. You're saying using hue will give you a watercolor style like paint blotchiness. Really? Oh, I'm fascinated to try that, because I really like the watercolor style, especially for like Ghibli style environments and animations. I'll look into that. Let's see, what else did we say here? Misha, hi Misha. I hope I'm saying your name right. You said, where does silhouette come into your design thinking? Distinctiveness versus overall effect. Great question. Silhouette. When we're talking about silhouette, there's a great video on this, particularly for the the main antagonist in, if I can remember correctly, Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League. I don't know the villain's name for that, but his silhouette, even though it has a lot of different details, it's very sharp, right? Very, very easy to tell who the character is that you're looking at if you're just seeing the shape of their armor. So what I want to do is first, for silhouettes for these characters, be able to identify what faction they're from, particularly from their shoulder armor, as well as their like overall bulkiness or non-bulkiness. So if they're in the Praetorian faction, then they're going to be, let me see, Praetorian equals bulky and rigid. I don't know if that's how you spell it. But yeah, so they're going to be bulky and rigid. And what I want to have be distinctive between perhaps individual chapters, if you will, if we're talking in Warhammer 40k terms, is this thing that's protruding from their head. If I can do a very quick sketch of what their helmets look like from the side, their helmet armor, kind of looks, sorry, their helmet armor, what am I saying? Kind of looks like this. Oh, that's way too far. Maybe like here. Yeah. Kind of looks like this from the side, right? Or at least this guy's does. There we go. This is a very rough sketch, so I do apologize for the way that it's turning out. Let me actually erase this here. There we go. So it would be like that. They have the mask element, right? And that's a little bit more shallow. So this is the general idea, right? I hope that this I guess shares the general look of what their masks would look like from the side, right? So they have these little fins, I guess you could call them, extending from the top, or at least this guy does. I want to individualize these fins for the different units that they're in as well, right? So maybe instead of having one that comes just straight up, right? Maybe there's another one. If I can duplicate this real quick. I lost it. There we go. Maybe there's another one that, if I erase this for the most part here, and I'm just thinking on the fly, I haven't like fully built in this design yet. Maybe it goes more like a, oh, whoops. More like a possibly Roman feathered look, if that makes sense, right? To distinguish between the different chapters. But then there's also the potential to have something that goes more, instead of going in a line this direction, right? It could go this direction. And those guys would probably be the more regal, the more royal of the factions, or sorry, the chapters or the units, to have something more along the lines of this. Oh. It's so much harder to paint on a different monitor than I'm actually like drawing on. But yeah, so maybe there's a chapter that looks more like this and has a more radial sort of look to their helmet armor. Mohawk design, yeah, exactly. Having different mohawk designs for the characters, and so just having I guess as far as silhouette style or identification goes, first, at least for my characters, I want to identify. Sorry, silhouette has 2 L's in it, right? Or is it just 1 L? Now you guys are seeing how poorly my ability to memorize spelling is. I'll just write it like this. So silhouette priority. There we go. Okay, so first I want to identify what faction they're from. And then I want to identify the particular unit or chapter or platoon or whatever you want to call this. And then have a sigil. Sigil? Or insignia that identifies the individual. So that's generally the idea for my priorities as far as silhouettes go. And then for silhouettes, you don't want to have too many details, too much stuff protruding, right? If I have an armor plate, I'll just draw over this, and I'm on a separate layer, so it will actually let me go on an even more separate layer. If I have a guy where he's got this armor, right, but then he's also got like these belt buckles going around, right, and then maybe he has like a set of spikes, and then maybe there's an extra plate going over this edge because he wants more protection, or maybe he's got like a bunch of pockets, right? We like pockets. I like pockets. This guy, he likes his pockets. I know that like Marvel Comics design, there was an era where all of their heroes had like hundreds of pockets. So just adding a lot more of these smaller details really muddies the silhouette. It makes it harder to understand what are the basic shapes that you want to go for, or that you need in order to identify a particular character, right? So you want to just understand what are the basic shapes that you want for your character. I think Overwatch, their original character designs have some of the best silhouettes in my opinion, because and when I talk about silhouette, I'm just talking about if you fill in all of these colored areas with just black and you can just see the outline, then that, if you can identify which character it is, then that's how you know you have a really good silhouette. For these Praetorians, I have to what is it called? Sacrifice some of that silhouette with the more practicality of like mass producing armor in this world. But that's where the individual units or chapters or platoons or whatever, having their own particular helmet design, or even like the mask interface here, that's where that would come into play. And you would be able to differentiate, like, okay, this character is particularly from this faction, right? Like we'll say the Hammers of Judgment faction, or sorry, unit or chapter, because they have a particular thing added to their silhouette, a very basic shape, but a particular shape added to their silhouette. So I hope that answers your question there. Why am I not using the mirror function? Good question. I didn't think of that in the moment, but that probably would have helped quite a bit. My bad, guys. But yeah, Alcaris, that's my first time saying your name out loud. You guys have some of the coolest names. I'm not gonna lie, Alcaris. I feel like I could say your name like Alcaris. Just feels so strong and noble, I should say. Very cool name. You said helmets could have a more practical use than just protecting the head. Could have like little slots that stick up that could entrap a sword attacking between those slots if someone was coming from above. Yeah, that's an interesting point. And so for particularly my Praetorians, they, at least in their time of battle, they haven't fought against many people that are using swords. It's usually just magic. All of their opponents use magic. But in the storyline that my or the timeline that my series will take place in, I won't give away why or what the reason behind this is, but they are going to be facing a lot more opponents that are using swords as well as magic, and so I'll leave it at that. And so you'll probably see throughout the course of this series that the Praetorians are starting to have to implement more practical designs for protecting themselves against physical attacks rather than just physical weapons rather than just magical weapons. Great point, by the way. I really like that. Think Batman. He has many. Yeah, especially like the little. What layer am I on? I want to do this on a different layer. Especially the little like blades that he has on his wristlets right there. Those are perfect for catching weapons. But yeah, let me see. What else did you guys say? Would you do a sort of LOD, level of detail, for that? For what in particular are you talking about? I'm curious. And interesting that you bring up LODs. I have been looking into LODs as well as the new nanite technology that's coming out. Very interested in that because nanite technology seems to have more of a performance, like better performance. So I'd be curious if Blender implements that in the future. But Misha, you said for additional details added on top of otherwise simpler silhouettes. That's a good question. I think that you don't want to obstruct the more basic shapes with a lot of details, but if you do add individual smaller details, like I'll focus in here, like this particular wristlet, or part of the gauntlet, I should say, has smaller details, right? But still in basic shapes. You want to keep your smaller details in basic shapes so that it's easier to read. It's okay to add some smaller details, right? This is my opinion. You can obviously design your characters however you'd like. It's okay to add those smaller details, but it'll be a lot easier for it to read on your silhouettes, a lot easier on people's eyes, if you will, if those smaller details are in simple shapes. Like this is just a cylinder, this is just a cylinder, that is an extruded cube, a rectangular cube, right? And then this up here is this section. I'll have to define the shape of this a little bit better because this was a very rough draft. But this particular shape is integrated into if I get rid of this, into the basic shape that the armor already had. But this will have a very particular utility. And I'll tell you guys about that utility when I start modeling this armor in Blender. And that'll probably happen in the coming streams after we finish this design. I know we talked about just the basics for character design. I think that we'll, because we've run out of time for the stream here, I think that this will just end up being the basis for the character design that character design tips that I have for making my characters. And then in the future streams, we'll just focus on finishing the design in Krita for these Praetorians, and then building them in Blender in an actual 3D space. But yeah, let me catch up with the rest of your guys' comments, and then we can wrap this up here. Let's see. Just ask, you said kind of the stormtrooper approach. For what? I'm curious. What's the context for that comment there? Alcaris, you said tassels are a common thing seen on armors. They are, yeah. And I've dabbled with adding more fabrics to these characters. Some of them are going to have capes or cloaks. These Praetorians. Some of them are going to have capes and cloaks to particularly obscure their more exposed areas, like the space between the I guess bicep armor and the chest plate, right? And the space between their bicep armor and their forearm armor, right? Those are going to be places that are more vulnerable to the magical attacks. So having a little bit more fabric obscures where those places are, because the way that the magic works in this world, the spellcaster has to have a direct line of sight for their spell to have the greatest effect, right? If they don't have direct line of sight, then the spell loses a lot of its effect. So yeah, great point there. These Praetorians will have at least some level of tassels or cloak to their character design after I've built out their armor. I also have to balance out like how much cloth do I add, because I'll have to either animate that by hand or run simulations on my computer for that. So that's another interesting topic to get into in a future stream there. But let's see. Just ask, you said when we talk about the mass-produced but giving all district signifiers, or giving still district signifiers for the soldiers. Yeah, as far as like stormtrooper approach. Exactly. Yeah. Because the society, the militaristic force and society of the Praetorians is like 80% military, if that makes sense. They have to like be drafted into the greater war. So armor does have to be mass produced, so that, and also streamlined to the point of simplicity, so that they're not adding so much detail that the particularly finite, what is it called? Finite resource that they have, that stone material that protects them from magic, doesn't run out too fast. So yeah, that's a great point that you just made. Let's see here. And then Stopzilla, you said, I'm really excited for aces to be added to Blender. What are aces? I'm curious now. And what's their utility? Maybe type that into the chat. We can talk about it a little bit, and then we'll end stream here in a second. Does that have to do with like modeling, or is it more like texture based for developing shaders? I'm curious. I'm also trying to fill. Okay. Oh, Ace's color space. I haven't looked much into it. Aces is a color profile. Interesting. I'll have to look into that more. I don't know particularly what that would entail. It's the Hollywood standard. Is that? Oh, are you guys talking about more like for compositing, and color grading? Because I did see that in an update for the 5.0 version of Blender that's coming out soon. Unless it's already come out. I haven't checked yet. That they're adding a lot more color grading effects and integrating their compositor into the video editing system that they have, to make it more like DaVinci Resolve. If you guys know that video editing software, that's what I use. It's also a free software, and it's Hollywood standard. So yeah, interesting. Let me see here. Just ask, you said, I tend to keep the standard or Chronos for NPR. Oh yeah, for what is it called? Like the Oh, I know what you guys are called, are talking about. Like instead of AGX, you change it to standard, but then aces would be in that menu. Are you guys talking about? I listened to an ILM lecture about it online. Oh, interesting. Alcaris, you said, I'm a fan of fantasy weapons that uses magical energy to power the weapons, like a sword, and magical energy becomes the blade of the weapon. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of those types of weapons, as well as magical projectile weapons in the Banner of Souls series I'm working on. So that'll be also a really fun stream to just build those weapons out and texture paint them and create shaders for them and whatnot. That'll be a lot of fun to do with you guys as well. But awesome. Yeah, I'll be excited to see what Aces does as well, as far as color grading. I haven't heard anything about it, but I'm now very intrigued. But with that, guys, it is now about 15 minutes past the end of stream, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for sticking all the way to the end. I always have such a great time sharing with you guys and exploring new ideas, hearing about your projects and things that you're working on, as well as your thoughts on the particular stuff that I'm working on too. So just thank you guys so much for joining me in this stream and for allowing me to share with you guys the progress that I'm making towards my Banner of Souls film series. I am very excited to continue to make progress and document like devlog style streams and videos. This is the first devlog style stream that I've ever done with you guys, so this was such a blast. I hope you guys had fun as well. I'm gonna say good night, but expect the highlight video of this to come out on Monday, as well as the full recording of this stream to come out on Monday as well, if you want to look back on any of the tips that I pointed out for you guys here. But yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for joining. It's so much fun. I'm so glad to have hosted this for you guys, and that you guys dropped in. I see a lot of familiar faces in here as well as new ones. So I hope you all have a great night. Oh no, H. You said you're doing some excellent work. Thank you. And thank you guys so much for all of your support on my most recent video. That video for doing arcane style modeling is doing so well, and I can only equate that to you guys watching the video and supporting that with liking and commenting. All of your likes and comments really help with all of my videos and getting the word out there for the stuff that I do. So thank you so much for your continued support. Thank you, God, for the audience that I have. You guys are so incredible. I really think that I have the best audience here, and you guys make all of this stuff possible for me to do. So yeah, I hope to catch you guys in a future stream, and we can continue working on these Banner of Souls characters, as well as some Heartborn characters in the future as well, when we need a break, and maybe we can vote on when I do those Heartborn streams and when I do the Banner of Souls streams. But yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, night, whatever time it is, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. All right, bye.